back into another edition of the Daft on Draft podcast. And in this edition, we're going to knock out part one of our mock draft 3.0. In this mock draft, the first mock draft, Dalton and I alternated picks, odds and evens. The second mock draft, we each made our own dueling mock draft. This one today, Dalton and I are going to come to a consensus on a player to select for a given team and go from there. So, with that being said, Dalton, welcome back in. Let's knock this thing out.
Yeah, and I think we should attack this the way that we would do it. So we are the decision makers here. We don't care how bad your team needs a quarterback if we think that these quarterbacks suck, just straight up. You can sit here and say, this team needs a quarterback, this team needs a quarterback. What's the point in drafting another Daniel Jones? Okay, that's a bad decision, okay? Shouldn't have happened in the first place. That's where we're at. We're not picking bad players just because you absolutely need that position. Flat out, not happening. Your team is not a quarterback away to begin with, so stop.
There are 5 teams in the top 8 that need a quarterback, and there is one quarterback I would draft at the top 8. So,
yeah, there might be a situation or two where I would draft the second one, but it is a very insulated situation. So we'll talk about that when we get there. Do we want to just go with it? Let's start it off. I think we know who's going first overall.
Yeah, Travis Hunter.
Yeah, if you guys listened to Dafter Draft yesterday, you would know we both believe that Travis Hunter deserves to go first overall. He's the best player. The Raiders have the first pick here, and it will be Travis Hunter.
Yes. Antonio Pierce is a one and done. That roster stinks. They are not a quarterback away. They need about every single premium position. Just about every single premium position. So draft a premium player at a premium position. Travis Hunter. Easy money. The Giants at 2, though, I think they could take I think they'll take a quarterback. I don't know if you agree with that, but I think
remember, it's not what we think they would do.
Yeah,
this is what we would do. This is what we would do. At the end of the day, it will come down to whoever the new coach is, however much they like this quarterback class.
Yep. So I like their tackles. There's also not a tackle I would take the top 10. But no. I like Jermaine Illuminor. I think he's one of the most underrated tackles in the NFL. And I like Andrew Thomas, obviously. There's not a wide receiver I'd take here.
No, and when we look at edge, they all have
Brian Burns and Kayvon Thibodeau.
And Kayvon Thibodeau.
And Azeez Ojulari, who's on IR and who is also a free agent after the season.
Yes.
And Thibodeau hasn't
be that expensive either. So
no, and Thibodeau also I don't think would prohibit them from taking an edge rusher though.
Yeah. I mean, do you just go absolutely insane and go Mason Graham on that defensive line as well?
That would be
Raheem
Nunez. Dude, I mean, we're talking about Raheem Nunez, Roches, and Elijah Chapman as their starting defensive tackles right now. And even the guys they have on IR who would be starting, I mean, Dexter Lawrence, obviously, but DJ Davidson, Armand Watts, and Timmy Horn, like those guys aren't stopping you from drafting Mason Graham.
Yeah, so I think the question comes down to them, or do they want to go and draft a running back at 2 again and see if you can play that?
That's the thing. Their owner, Mara, might do it after losing, like how heartbroken he was to lose Saquon, and he might just like give me Ashton Genty right now. The only other thing, they're starting Cordell Flott, Deontay Banks, a first rounder, obviously there. Their cornerback room could probably. Will Johnson could be on the table here. But man, Mason Graham fits next to Dexter Lawrence pretty freaking well.
Yeah, the versatility that those two have and would have together. I mean, that would be the most dangerous defensive line I can remember ever.
Yeah,
ever. So that is definitely an option here. At the end of the day, we both do quite like Shedeur Sanders, and that's not the worst situation for him to step into, especially because I think this is a running back class where they're going to be able to, even if they want to double up on day 2, day 3, or double up on day 3, and get some legitimate talent at running back as well. They have Malik Neighbors there. They have the tackles. I think that it's a decently set up situation if the coach that comes in is any good. So, I mean, where are you at? Because I love the idea of Mason Graham here, but I do think that the Giants are in a situation where they could go Sanders.
I think they could too. I just in the back of my head think this has a very 2013 feel to it, where we talked up Gino, EJ Manuel, all these guys, and one went in the first round. It was like 17th overall. I think it could be very much 2022, where we tried to talk up Malik Willis like crazy, and Kenny Pickett was the only quarterback going in the first round. We tried to talk up Desmond Ridder like crazy.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, when you look at it as well, Dane has Cam Ward at QB1. We have heard from guys like Mel Kiper earlier in the year. I like Shedeur Sanders, but I don't know if Shedeur Sanders is a top 5 guy, a top 10 guy. And these conversations have happened because most likely NFL evaluators are having these same conversations.
Yeah. I think we go Mason Graham, man.
I don't care if the Giants fans are mad at us. You can be mad at us all you want when Graham gets 12 sacks and Dexter Lawrence gets 16 and a half next year. And that defense is top 5 while you guys score 7 points a game. You won't be good.
We're going to be good with the rookie quarterback anyway.
Yeah. Might get a quarterback next year. So Mason Graham with the 2nd pick in the NFL draft. Now,
throw Jameis Winston in there and let him just throw to Malik Neighbors.
Oh, that would be so much fun. The New England Patriots.
This is so easy for me. It's been my go-to every single time.
It's Opto Carter.
It's the perfect Matthew Judon.
Perfect fit.
The perfect
we
Matthew
Judon. We don't even have to talk about that. We can move right on.
Yeah.
The Panthers at 4. I think this is a super interesting one because
I do, but I think they need a wide receiver pretty badly.
Yeah, their quarterback is good enough right now. And I want to really give Bryce Young a shout out because we absolutely buried him earlier in the year. I didn't think he had it. To sit like that and then only get your job back because the backup, Andy Dalton, was in a car accident, and then you come back and legitimately look like an NFL starter. That is a mental turnaround. That's the type of not off the field, but like character stuff that we heard consistently about Bryce Young.
Yeah.
And it is the reality right now. And I am so very happy for him. You said that they need a wide receiver. I agree. They also need a wide receiver.
Just extended Chuba Hubbard. I was going to say running back too, because Jonathan Brooks just tore his ACL again.
Yep. And they really like Hubbard. And there really is no other position here. I mean, we could also look at corner here. I think corner is another position.
Getting J.C. Horn a little running mate would be fun.
Yes.
Their interior defensive line is also bad.
J.C. Horn has really struggled to stay healthy too.
He has. They don't have any defensive linemen either. Defensive tackles were edge rushers.
Yes.
But I just took Mason Graham.
We did, but there are other edge rushers that I could be talked into here. I just don't know if we're talking about the same guys at edge rusher for them right now. But when we look at it, when we look at the Ejiro Evero defense, I think that a guy like James Pierce Jr. here would be a decent fit for them. Brian Burns replacement. And I don't know if I love any of the wide receivers for what they need. Because they already have like the big outside receivers. So Tet doesn't really seem like a fit here. They have an X. Is he very good? He hasn't shown it so far. He's been super inconsistent. But they like Jalen Coker as well there. So
hang it up soon. Yeah.
Thielen's going to hang it up soon. You're looking probably at Luther Burden here.
I would agree that Burden would probably be the receiver because, again, I think there's probably a lot of overlap in skill set between what Leggett and McMillan would do.
Yes.
I am looking at the body types of their pass rushers, though. Jadeveon Clowney, DJ Wan, Amari Barno, DJ Johnson, all pretty big dudes. I'm tempted to say
I can be talked. So they have all those big dudes, okay? But they could also use a rush linebacker.
They could. Josie Jewell and Trevin Wallace as their starting linebackers is also suboptimal. I think this would come down to me, edge or corner, because those are more premium positions and they lack both of those positions. So to me, you could tuck me a wide receiver too. To me, I would be choosing between Shamar Stewart or Will Johnson here. But I could be talked in another direction. I mean, they're starting Mike Jackson.
Let's go Will Johnson.
JC Horn. Yeah.
Let's go Will
Johnson. I'm cool with that. Number 5 player on my board lands number 4 here.
I love Will Johnson. I know there's been some talk about his long speed. I don't see that as ever being a problem for him. So I don't know where that's coming from. Maybe it's a Patrick Surtain thing where like we don't really see the blazing speed or the recovery speed because he's literally never out of freaking position. So I
think it's a Patrick Surtain thing.
I mean, that's the only thing that really makes sense to me. So I'm with you.
It's just his tape is boring.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Right. Jacksonville Jaguars. This is where it gets interesting because
they hate that Will Johnson just came off the board.
They hate that Will Johnson just came off the board. I think it's way too early for like a Revel.
Yeah.
There's no good corners to take here. I don't think they take an off ball because they have young off balls. I think they could take an edge maybe. But I mean, Josh Allen and Trevon Walker, I don't think they take an edge. Their interior is bad, but there's also no good interior.
I mean, there's a spot for Will Campbell here.
It is a spot for Will Campbell. Do you think it's too early for Will Campbell? Or 2, do they just take best player available and say, listen, man, we're starting Darnell Savage at strong safety?
Oh.
And I think Andre Sisco's a free agent after the season as well.
So
do they go Malachi
Starks? I just can't imagine a safety going this high. At the end of the day,
but what if Malachi Starks is playing corner?
Okay. I don't. I want to protect my greatest asset.
Okay, I'm cool with that. Again, they're guards. They just extended Walker Little, and Anton Harrison is a former first rounder entering year 3 next year. Brandon Sheriff getting up there on the edge. Ezra Cleveland. They could go guard here. They could go Will Campbell here. And it makes a lot more sense for Will Campbell to go 6th overall than it does 2nd or 1st overall. So
yes, and you go Will Campbell, and listen, if Anton Harrison doesn't figure it out, you can always throw Will Campbell at right tackle and see how that goes.
You can. I think actually Walker Little was their swing tackle, so I think Walker Little's played.
He used to be, yeah. He used to be, and they just extended him. So I don't know if they're stuck with him at or really want him to be the left tackle. And that's another thing. If they're drafting Will Campbell at 5 to play left tackle, and then he kind of fails inside, that's okay. That's absolutely okay because you're still doing your job trying to protect your most expensive asset. So I think that's the way you kind of have to go with it because at the end of the day, as much as I love Trevor Lawrence coming out, he has not lived up to the hype.
No, he's going to get another offensive coordinator.
Yep.
He's going to get a whole new regime. So we'll see how that happens.
Tennessee at 6.
I think this is where Sanders comes off. Yep.
Perfect
offensive system. No.
I've never seen a quarterback head coach combination, or I've never seen a head coach hate a quarterback more than he does. This one's just too easy.
Again, I'm not comping Shedeur Sanders to Joe Burrow because they are absolutely not the same players, but we're talking about the level of arm talent and accuracy are pretty comparable. Not big arms, but they throw with such good accuracy. Shedeur's got to work on the anticipation a little bit more when he's clean. He anticipates the football really well.
Yeah.
But again, we're talking about
creativity within the pocket that Joe Burrow can either.
No, for sure. He has gotten better at it, but again, he still drifts back there quite a bit. We're talking about a team that doesn't have any wide receiver talent, which is going to be a huge thing that they'll need to hit the trade market or free agent market for. But we're talking about a team that spent their last, 2 first-round picks on offensive linemen and Peter Skoronski and J.C. Latham. So like you built around built an infrastructure for a rookie quarterback. So I think Shedeur makes a lot of sense here. The Jets. I think this is the infrastructure that you were referencing might be good for Cameron Ward to come off the board here for young Cameron Ward.
It is. And there's more than one situation. It's not just the Jets. But when we look at the Jets, There's no way Aaron Rodgers is coming back.
No shot. No, he's gone. He's done.
Absolutely not. They do have, like I've talked about already, they have Tyrod Taylor. There are going to be more than a couple of free agent quarterbacks who could come in and be a bridge and be that guy. And I think that Tyrod stylistically would be a really good mentor for somebody like Cam Ward. But at the end of the day, I think with a new GM, there's a little bit more of a leash. So again, another tick in the box for choosing Cam Ward. But this is kind of a roster that's built to win now outside of the offensive line. The offensive line is horrendous because AVT can't stay healthy.
So, I mean, you could go Kelvin Banks here.
You could go Kelvin Banks here, and you could throw a Jameis in there and see what you got for next season. If it blows up in your face, you're picking high again in what should be a better quarterback class. But I really like this for Cameron Ward. And I know that you don't like Cameron Ward, but this is a situation where he wouldn't have to start in year one. And I think if you want to get that best version of Cam Ward, you absolutely cannot play him in year one. No matter what.
No
happens.
shot.
No matter what happens. Because I think he's very similar to Malik Willis. Like as a player, in the way that he sees the field, I think he's very similar. We saw what an absolute dumpster fire it was for Malik Willis at the NFL level early. And we saw how freaking good he looked in 2 games with the Green Bay Packers this year.
Yeah. I think Malik, this is a really off topic and probably doesn't need to be brought up on this podcast, but I'm going to say it anyway. Malik Willis might be one of those interesting bridge trade quarterbacks this offseason, like the Cleveland Browns or the Jets or a team like that as well.
And also younger guys who haven't gotten a chance yet, like Hendon Hooker. Like Detroit's not going away from Jared Goff anytime soon. So I think that there are a lot of intriguing options out there. So I think Cam Ward would be my pick here, but I can be talked into pretty much anything.
I'm okay with sending Cam off the board here.
Let's do it. And that is also...
That's my dream scenario, so the Browns aren't tempted to take him.
We won't have to talk about Cam Ward for the Browns, which I was also going to bring up because bring Jameis back. Jameis can sit there and tell him, hey, this is what not to do, as he's showing him on the field exactly what not to do.
I don't think they're bringing Jameis back, to be honest. No. And I also don't think that head coach or that GM loves a rookie quarterback, loves the idea of a rookie quarterback. And again, we are talking about a roster that is the highest paid roster in the NFL. The Browns have spent more money on players than any team.
Could they throw money at Sam Darnold this offseason?
I think they are going to throw money at Sam Darnold.
I think stylistically, it's a fantastic fit.
I think that's exactly what's going to happen, because if you look at Sam Darnold's kind of track since he left Carolina, it's been with those QB collective head coaches. So he's touched Shanahan. He's touched KOC now. The other logical options would be the Los Angeles Rams, but I don't think I think Stafford's going to get a new contract this offseason because he's playing out of his freaking mind right now. I think that leaves Kevin Stefanski. And I think that he fits in very well. Again, they got to clean up the offensive line quite a bit. I still think this is too early for Kelvin Banks, though, even though I just tried to send him to the Jets. I don't love the fit of Kelvin Banks in Cleveland. But that's to say, I don't think we're taking Drew Aller right here.
No.
As much as Northeast Ohioans want to draft the Northeast Ohio kid, the same way they wanted to draft Mitch Trubisky over Myles Garrett, by the way.
So
there's 2 players I would really love here, and I don't care about the first one being a running back. Ashton Genty or Luther Burden would be the 2 players that I think would be phenomenal fits.
I mean, here's the thing: we're talking about offensive tackle here. Kelvin Banks is my 27th ranked player. Mm-hmm. We're talking about Luther Burden is my 10th ranked player.
Where's Cam Williams on your board?
Cam Williams is 21st.
So I think Cam Williams would be an upside shot the Browns would be willing to take at number 8.
Mm-hmm.
I think Josh Simmons is also an upside shot. They might be willing to take it at number 8.
What is unfortunate for me is I really love Jedrick Quills. Yeah. And it just didn't work out. And when we're talking about an upside guy not figuring it out, even with an offensive line coach that I think is amazing. I wonder about an upside pick at tackle right now.
I do too. And I think I lean at Luther Burden because Elijah Moore is a free agent. Cedric Tillman has been in the concussion protocol, but has shown flashes at X once Jameis came into the lineup at wide receiver. And then Jerry Jeudy is third in the NFL in receiving right now after having 200 and some yards receiving through the first 7 weeks of the season. I love the fit of Luther Burden as that Z slot versatility because it allows you to move Jeudy around. Z slot versatility as well. You have Tillman, who is your strong X. He is 6'4", 6'3", 220. He's not playing slot. He's not playing Z. I love the fit of what Luther Burden would bring to the Browns offense. Again, they need a yak guy as well because the run game's not working. So get the ball to him in space and let him do some stuff too. I just love the fit of Burden in Cleveland. It's one of my favorites.
And listen, you are the Cleveland guy here, so I would have given this pick to you anyways. But it's a perfect. It really is a perfect fit. I 100% agree. We'll go Luther Burden here at 8.
All right, Bears. Bears need an offensive lineman, an interior offensive lineman. Braxton Jones, I think, is playing pretty well, and I think they like Darnell Wright.
Yeah.
So I think this could be a Kelvin Banks fit, but again, it's early for your board. Kind of early for my board too. Kelvin Banks on my board is sitting at about 17. That's not an egregious reach for Banks here. What they could also do is they could also draft Ashton Jeanty and have a DeAndre Swift Ashton Jeanty backfield. Some Thunder and Lightning.
And I'm actually a fan of pairing a high pick running back with a young quarterback. But
what's their defensive side of the ball look like here?
They need edge. They have Montez Sweat, but it's Montez Sweat, DeMarcus Walker, Darrell Taylor, who can't stop making mistakes on the field for some reason. And then Austin Booker, who a lot of people really liked him coming out of Kansas. I was a little bit lower on him. He just seemed more like a DPR type of guy for me.
DeMarcus Walker, though, is 280 pounds.
Yes.
And I think we all...
But here's the thing. Do you think he comes back next year?
DeMarcus Walker?
No.
Who?
They have Thomas Brown. Do you think that they're like? I'm just wondering who they're going to bring.
Oh, they're not going to bring Thomas Brown back as a head
coach. No. But I'm wondering who they bring because that defensive line, like you said, Walker is big, Sweat is big. That 4-3 that Eberflus loves, that old school 4-3 under, is a big type of edge rusher defense. Do they try to change that up? Yeah, do they try to change that up and go with a more modern, more odd front stuff and bring a smaller edge rusher in? Or do they go with the one-of-one freak? And I think that's where we're going to go here.
I think that makes the most sense. And I think that makes the most sense because, to me, it feels a lot like the Cleveland Browns when they fired Joe Woods and hired Jim Schwartz, where they had so much paid talent already in place. You can't uproot the structure around that paid talent. Like, secondary-wise, a lot of paid talent. Up front, you got a lot of high drafted or high paid talent. You paid a linebacker a lot of money.
I think you got to
keep the structure in place.
I just hate having two somewhat stiff rushers.
Yeah,
I like having one super bendy guy or one at least decently bendy guy.
I mean, James Pierce is high on my board. I could be talking to James Pierce.
Yes, and James Pierce is higher on your board than Nick Scorton, right?
Yes.
Okay. James Pierce is not that much further below than Nick Scorton is for me. And you know how much I love Nick Scorton.
Yes, but... I mean, we could go Nick Scorton here too. He's 20 years old. That's an upside shot too. I mean, Pierce is young and freak athletic too. So I mean, the upside's probably about the same.
Yeah. And he is more explosive. And at the end of the day, as much as I love Nick Scorton's game and think that he could get better and he could get even more explosive at 265, Pierce has that type of Gumby-like bend that is really, really dangerous. And he has the natural length and leverage ability to be a decent edge defender in the run game as well. So let's go with it. Let's give him a bendy edge rusher. Let's give him James Pierce here.
I love it. The New Orleans Saints. Is this a team that would take a shot on Giroud?
Oh God, I wouldn't.
I wouldn't either. That offensive line needs some work. I mean, even though Trevor Penning's has played better.
Yeah, he's actually been pretty good since the position switch.
I like their offensive line's fine because I think Foag is fine, McCoy's fine, Ruiz is fine. Their wide receivers are so bad.
They're going to have to shed so many contracts this offseason too. Did they just bring Tet in?
I think wide receiver is or defensive tackle. Again, what are we talking about? Defensive tackle? Derek Harmon. I think it's a little too high for Derek Harmon.
Exactly. I mean, and when we look at what they have at wide receiver right now, they have, if he comes back, they have one of the fastest wide receivers in the NFL out there. And then they also have Rashid Shaheed, who is a burner as well.
I think the Tet, if Olave comes back, I think that's a good pairing.
And that's tough because we don't know what's up with Olave right now. But I think I think trying to give that offense a little bit of help is where they need to go.
Yeah. Which sucks for the Bengals because I think they're about to lose T. Higgins, and Tet would have been the perfect pick for them right there.
Yeah. He's pretty much T. Higgins in my opinion.
Yeah.
So
the Bengals' defensive trenches are bad. I don't think they're going to have any choice.
They're going to lose out on either Hubbard or Head. I
think it's Hubbard.
I don't see there's any way that they would be able to justify losing Trey.
No. Which is their fault because they should have given him a new contract this past offseason, and now he's had a DPOY season.
He's leading the league in sacks.
But I mean, BJ Hill, Sheldon Rankins, Chris Jenkins Jr., and McKinley Jackson as their defensive tackles. That's pretty ugly. But again, are we
BJ Hill's in a contract here too?
Yeah. Are we talking about taking Kenneth Grant or Tyleik Williams here? Like Derek Harmon here? Like, I don't really love any of those fits. But again, back end, we're talking Von Bell, Geno Stone.
And who is the Alabama Battle? Jordan Battle is their third safety. I think this could be a spot for Malachi Starks.
I think so too. Their corners are also pretty bad, but so this could be like Siobhan Revel too, maybe. But I know you don't like him as much as I do.
No, I do not.
It could also be a Tyler Warren spot.
It could be a Tyler Warren spot
because they're losing a wide receiver.
Yes, but man, I don't know.
So are we talking between Tyler Warren or Malachi Starks right here? Is that
I mean, I'm pretty firmly with Malachi Starks here.
I'm cool with that.
Mostly because I just need Tyler Warren to go to Indy. Just I need it at this point. So,
all right, your Dallas Cowboys here. Are you going to make the obvious pick for the Cowboys here?
For me, the obvious pick is Nick Scorton.
Oh, that wasn't going to be the obvious pick that I was going
to say. For me, that's the obvious pick. Okay. Because I don't think that this roster is a running back away. And I think that this class, as much as I adore Ashton JT, this class is just too damn good. Mm-hmm. Day 2, day 3. I mean, it's just too damn good.
Mm-hmm. I'm fine with that. I don't think we need to talk a whole lot about that pick.
Cool.
I think it's good.
I think he's Tank 2.0. I think that's what he could be. And he may never be a 12 to 15 sack guy, but playing opposite of Micah, I think that he could be, an 8 to 12 sack guy every once in a while and be a good edge setter run defender on the outside. So that's the guy.
Yep. I'm cool with it. The Dolphins. Listen, this might be where I make an argument for Ashton Jeanty. And I know that that team hasn't been very good this year. They used Devon Achane mostly as a split out receiver / gadget guy. If you put Jeanty as the running back with Achane still on the field, I know they need a guard too, though. Bad. They need a guard bad. But something about putting Jeanty and Achane on the field together feels very fun and feels very McDaniels-y.
Yeah, and here's the thing. Tyler Booker, Wyatt Millen, Donovan Jackson. You can even talk about Tate Rutledge. You can talk about Bo, who I think is a center, but they're talking about as a guard.
Well, I was thinking Banks. That's what I was.
Jonas Savai, like all of those guys. But I'm saying, like, with all of those guys available in round 2, picking at 45 or whatever.
There's
one of those guys is probably
5 of them available. Yeah.
Yeah. Your starting guard is still going to be there.
Yeah. They could also go Isaiah Bond and just go full speed ahead.
Oh, yeah. I don't think so. They could, but I don't see them doing that.
They could also go edge rusher because as much as we love Jalen Phillips, multiple lower body injuries since he's been in the NFL. Chop Robinson's played pretty well though.
So Chop has turned it on a little bit. So I think that edge we could get away with.
Mm-hmm. We could get away with Jalen Walker here. Anthony Walker Jr. and Jordan Brooks is a good linebacker, but they just cut David Long.
They did cut David Long.
You could get away with Jalen Walker here. And
Ogba's no spring chicken at this point.
No.
So we're getting a little bit older there. So yeah, I mean, they could definitely go edge.
Javon Holland's in a contract here, and Jordan Poyer. Those are 2 safeties as well. We could go Eamon Worry.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I mean, I would love to go Eamon Worry here.
I would love to go Eamon Worry to the Seahawks, but
yeah, I haven't seen enough of Miami's defense to know the structure well enough to see how Eamon Worry would fit in that defense. Mm-hmm. Although at 6'3", 230 with his movement skills, I mean, there's really not much he can't do.
Yeah. They're playing a lot too high, so it probably wouldn't be the greatest.
It would be a good fit because, I mean, that's pretty much what he's doing at South Carolina right now.
As 2 dudes like over the top guys. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think Michael Williams, if there's an edge rusher to take here, would probably. I think Michael goes before Jalen Walker, even if I love him as a player. So Michael Williams could be the edge rusher here, or we could go Janty and let's just
go off it. Let's just go Janty. It's so much fun.
It is. I know they have Jalen Wright, but Jalen Wright, I don't think Jalen Wright's your like a full-time running back either.
They're not. I mean, I would love for him to become the guy because I have him stashed on my dynasty team, but no, I'm not letting that get in the way of the fun of Ashton Janty in that backfield.
No.
Tyler Warren.
Yep.
Tyler
Warren to the Colts.
That's all there is. We're already 33 minutes into this. We don't even need to talk about it.
Falcons pass rusher, I think Shamar Stewart.
Yeah.
Or Michael or Shamar.
I think Shamar. For me, it's Shamar. For me, it's Shamar because I don't think that the Atlanta Falcons fan base could go another year of drafting a high upside pass rusher that doesn't pan out.
No, we could have gone Derek Harmon, I guess, but
nah,
Shamar Stewart's better.
I like Stewart more.
The Cardinals.
This is a spot for Eamon Worry for me. This is a potential spot for Eamon Worry. This is also a spot where we could look at the defensive line.
We could look at Isaiah Bond too. Outside of Harrison Jr., they got Zay Jones and Michael Wilson.
Yeah.
Dortch.
Yes.
They still have Jonah Williams under contract. Jonah Williams might have an out in his contract, though. Their interior is also not good offensively. Evan Brown and Tristan Colon.
Tristan's played pretty well this year, though.
Has he? Okay.
Yeah. And Froyo has been really
he's good. Yeah,
he's been really good for them.
He started a few games for the Browns a couple of years ago. He's a fun
player.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, we could go pass rusher here because they're starting Baron Brown and Zaven Collins off the edge.
Yeah.
We could go safety here. Jalen Thompson. I think Budda Baker's time is done.
Yeah.
There. So, I mean, it's an even worse spot. But you could go defensive tackle, defensive end.
Mm-hmm.
Linebacker.
And I think for me, at the end of the day, Eamon Worry is my highest ranked player.
Yeah, that's fair. That's also fair. My one other argument would potentially be both of their edge rushers are stand-up guys who also have played linebacker in their career. So this could be Jalen Walker.
I mean, how many of those guys can the Arizona Cardinals draft?
I know they've missed it, but we're talking
not get enough out of.
I know, but we're talking about Jonathan Gannon, who did get Hassan Reddick, who did get it out of Hassan Reddick.
Yes. But Hassan already had it. Hassan had it at Carolina before he went to Philly, but
that's true. And they tried to play him off ball in Arizona. So
yeah. Arizona
so
screwed it up. But they screwed everything up for a long time in Arizona. So yeah, you're right. Jalen Walker could be another spot for him. I'm just not as high on Jalen Walker.
I'm not either
as those guys.
I'm fine with him in Warrior here.
So am I.
I'm fine with him in Warrior here.
And that is 1 through 16. That's it. That is pick 1 through 16. We will be back with pick 17 through 32 tomorrow. Starting off with the San Francisco 49ers, we're going to have a discussion about that one because there's one very obvious need that they have on that football team, but they have a couple. So we will see what happens. As always, guys, know this. I'm Dalton Miller. He's Cory Kinnan. I love you. Goodbye.